Hello, everyone. Welcome to the theory class. Today, we're going to cover lesson 33. So before we get started, let's go ahead and do our evaluation. All right, so this is going to be covering lesson 32. Here we go. Ready? Number 1, mask. He wore a mask for Halloween. Number 2, range. What is the range of motion? Number 3, scorch. It will scorch in the heat. Number 4, inch. Take in an inch. Number 5, jump. Jump over the jump rope. Number 6, percentage. What percentage did you get on the test? Number 7, bulb. We need to replace the light bulb. Bulb. Number 8, brisk. We took a brisk, we took a brisk walk outside. Number 9, launch. The rocket will launch tomorrow. Number 10, thump. Thumper likes to thump his foot. Number 11, church. What church do you go to? Number 12, flask. Drink from the flask. Number 13, stamp. Put a stamp on the envelope. Number 14, film. We will watch the film. And number 15, arrange. Did you arrange the items? Okay, so let's go through that, see how you did. All right, that was with our tricky lesson 32. I find that to be the most challenging lesson in theory, in all of theory, really. You may think otherwise, but that, I know for me in theory, that was my most challenging lesson. All right, so let's look it over. Mask, M-A-F-K. So we're using the F for the S. Number 2, range, R, long, A-N, and then we have to come back for final J. Otherwise, if we use the G, it would be ring. Number 3, scorch, S-K, long O, F-R-P, the urch. Urch, we use F-R-P. Number 4, inch, I, F-R-P-B. The inch is F-R-P-B. Number 5, jump, J-U-F-P-L. So we use for the M-P, here's our M, but we've got to use our F here, so F-P-L. Number 6, percentage, P-E-R, final J. Number 7, bulb, B-U-L, come back for final B. Then we have brisk, B-R-I-F-K for S-K. Launch, L-A-U-F-R-P-B. Thump, T-H-U-F-P-L for the M-P. Church, K-H-U-F-R-P for the urch. Flask, F-L-A-F-K for S-K. Stamp, S-T-A-F-P-L for M-P. Then we have film, F-I-L, and then come back for final M. And then we've got a range, A-R-N-G. All right, so if you struggled with that, please go back and practice that lesson before you move on to lesson 33. All right. So moving on to lesson 33. Today, we're going to be covering words that end with NK and NCT. So words that have an unk sound or an unct sound. What we have to do is flag those because our unk, we would be using our N and our K, right? But that's also what we use for NG, right? So words such as bang, we would write as B, long A-N-G. But bank, that would also be using the NG because this is our N and this is our K. So what we do is we write that as B, long A-N-G with the flag. When you flag that, you're telling your software that you're turning this G into an NK, so the unk sound. Same with the unct sound. So there's several words that conflict and several words that don't conflict. And in court reporting, we are going to be writing at very fast speed, so we're not going to have time to sit there and ask ourselves, does that conflict or not? So that's why we make a rule. Anytime it's an unk sound, NK sound, or NCT sound, like instinct or trunk, we're going to flag it. That way that we know the difference between unk and ung. So if I were to write rink, I would write it as R-I with the flag NK or NG to show, and we have a flag here to show it's the unk, rink, as opposed to ring the bell, that would be R-I-N-G, and then we don't flag it. So if you look down at 33.1, we have final NG with the flag for final NK words and final NCT words. All right, so you just have to remember to flag it. Anything with unk or unct. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of our words. The first word is bank. All right, and again, if you didn't flag that, it would look like bang. So we're going to write that as B, long A, flag, NG for bank. Okay, blink, B-L-I with the flag, N-G, or blink. Otherwise, it would look like bling. All right, without the flag, it would look like bling. Rink, R-I with the flag, N-K, rink. Crank, K-R, long A with the flag, N-K, crank. Trunk, T-R with the flag, U-N-K. Again, there's no conflict with, no such word as trung, but again, we don't have time to decipher what is a conflict and what's not, so we make it a rule across the board, okay? Now we've got tank, T, long A with the flag, N-K. We didn't flag it, it would look like tang, okay? Yank, Y, long A with the flag, N-K. Link, L-I with the flag, N-K. Hunk, H-U with the flag, N-K. If we didn't flag it, it would look like hung. She hung the picture on the wall. Then we have a spunk, drink, punk, blank, ink. Let's look at ink. We've got the flag here, I-N-K, ink. Otherwise, it would look like ing. All right, flunk, F-L-U with the flag, N-K. If you didn't have the flag, it would look like flung. He flung it across the room. Then we've got pink, sink. And again, let's look at sink. S with the flag, I-N-K. If we didn't have the flag, it would look like sing. Drink. Now let's look at line 7. These are from line 7 down. We've got a multisyllabic word. So we've got uncle. So we're going to flag the part of the word that has the unk sound. So uncle is going to be flagged, U-N-K, and then we come back for the final L in a separate stroke. Wrinkle, W-R with the flag, I-N-K, rink, come back for final L. Ankle, long A with the flag, N-K. Ank, come back for final L. If we didn't flag it, it would be angle. Wrinkle, R, long A with the flag, N-K, come back for final L. Succinct, S-U-K, suck, come back for S with the flag, I-N-K, succinct. And it's going to look like sing with the flag. So that's how you know it's a N-C-T word, succinct. Okay? Extinct. So we write it as E-X. Come back for T with the flag, I-N-K, succinct. Distinct. It's going to look like disting, but we see that flag, so we know it's distinct. D-I-S. Come back for T, flag, I-N-K, distinct. Instinct, I-N. Come back for S-T with the flag, I-N-K, instinct. Precinct, P-R-E. Come back for S, flag, I-N-K, precinct. All right, looking on over at 33.2, we've got some practice sentences that focus on these new words. And if you look, okay, I'm going to update there. If you look at line 3, let's look at the first sentence on line 3. It says, tell Frank to write the letter. Now, anytime we have a proper name that has the unk sound, we have to flag it. But if it's a proper name, we're going to have to strike it twice because we also have the word frank, as in, let me be frank with you. I don't care. If we were to write that, frank, let me be frank with you, we would write it as FR long A with the flag NK. But now we're telling our software we're talking about somebody's name Frank. So the only way we can tell our software we're talking about a proper noun is by striking it twice. So we're going to have to strike FR long A with the flag NK and do Frank, Frank. The same will apply for any proper name that has the NK sound, like Hank and words like that. We have to tell it, we flag it because it's got an NK sound. But we also have to strike it twice when we're telling the software this is a proper name. So we need to capitalize it, okay? So make a little note there. On line 3, tell Frank to write the letter, and then the second sentence, Frank arranged the whole deal. All right. Looking at line 7, it says, wait until the ink is dry. We need to phrase until the. Until is going to be initial N, final L, and then we've got the. So we can phrase the whole thing, until the. Right? Looking at line 9, drink 8 glasses of water. Now that is a number that is 10 or less. So we want to tell our software that we want that to be transcribed as a word, a number as a word. So we're going to write 8 as long A, G, T, 8. Okay. Looking down at line 14, second sentence over, it says pink eye is contagious. Now, if that were a test, that's a compound noun, so you would need to look that up in the dictionary to see if it's one word or 2 words. That's a great example right there. It's one word. There are so many different compound nouns that some are 2 words, some are 1 word, so you always need to look those up. Now, pink, you're going to flag it, so it doesn't look like ping. And then I would be a long I, okay? You don't want to do a short I because then it would think it's a pronoun. Pink and then I. So you want to make sure and write that I as a EYE as a long I. All right. Over on the next page, 33.2, practice sentences are continued. Okay, let's take a look at those. Line 22, second sentence over. It says he drank the entire pint of bourbon. Bourbon's going to be written as B-U-R. Come back for B-O-N. Bourbon. You're writing it like it sounds. And it's spelled B-O-U-R. but because you hear the you're going to write it as B-U-R, and then come back for B-O-N, bourbon. Line 23, the ship was sunk in 1573. Now we want to flag 15. So we're going to write that as 1, flag 5, and then come back for 7, come back for 3. And the reason why we want to flag it is because we're telling our software that we're talking about a year and we don't want the comma there. Otherwise, if you don't flag it, you're going to get a comma. It's going to look like 1,573. Now, if that were a test and you're writing and you realize, oh, I didn't flag that, I'm going to get a comma, you would just go into the edit mode and take out the comma, showing that it's a year. But because it's homework and this isn't a speed test, it's important that you add your flag here, okay, your asterisk key. All right, now let's look at line 24, second sentence over. It says, I prefer a porcelain sink. Now, porcelain can either be written as P long O-R-S, come back for L-I-N, or you can write it as P long O-R-S, come back for L-A-N. It's how you hear the ending, either Lin or Len. Okay, either one is okay. All right. 33.3, we've got some unshun words. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So we went over the unk words. Now we're on to unction words. So we're going, it's the same concept. We are going to flag any words. We're going to use the flag for any words that have the unction words, such as junction. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want a conflict with any N-shun words, like words that have the N and the shun. We don't want a conflict with those. And again, it's too hard to decipher, oh, is that a conflict or not? So across the board, we just make a rule and we say, okay. Words like sanction is going to be written as S, long A with the flag, NGS. And that's going to tell us it's an unction word. Function, F, U with the flag, NGS, function. Junction, J-U with the flag, NGS, junction. Injunction, I-N. Come back for J, flag U, NGS, injunction. Distinction, D-I-S. Come back for T, flag I, NGS. Distinction. Compunction, that's a feeling of guilt. We're going to write it as K-O-M, come. Come back for P, flag U, NGS, compunction. Extinction, E-X. Come back for T, flag I, NGS, extinction. Malfunction, M-A-L. Come back for F, U with the flag, NGS, malfunction. Then we have conjunction, dysfunction, adjunction, co-function. And you notice that you're flagging where you have the word that has the unction, okay? That is where you do your flag. You use your flag. All right. Now, 33.4, we've got practice sentences using those words. Okay. Let's look at line 2. It says, the system is not functioning well. Make sure you phrase is not. Is not. All right. Now we can't phrase it not because that would conflict with our brief for continue. Our brief for continue is initial T, final N, so we can't phrase it not, but we can is not. Let's look at line 4. He asked the court for sanctions. There's a rule here, and you're going to use this quite a bit in speeds. If you can replace court with judge, that tells you that court is going to be capitalized. So in that case, you're going to flag court. If you can say, he asked the judge for sanctions, we know we're not talking just about the court. Like, I need to go to the court to get something picked up. We're talking about the judge. Now, interestingly, if I were to say he asked the judge for sanctions, judge would be a lowercase j. But anytime we are referring to the judge, but it says the court, as in he asked the court for sanctions, we're going to flag that because court is capitalized because we're referring to the judge. Now, if I were to say it will be handled by Judge Myers, then that would be capitalized because that's using judge with his name, a proper noun. Okay. Now let's look at line 5, the second sentence over. It says, the junctions of the wood must be glued. Glued is going to be written as GL long U, come back for final D, glued. Okay. All right. Moving on over to 33.5, we've got some new briefs. Let's look at our briefs. First one is therefore, THR, and we've got the effer over here. Therefore, THR, final effer. Okay, therefore. Then we have idea, initial Y, final D. Idea. Then we have surprise. That to me is more like a squeeze, so it's a pretty easy brief. SPR, long IZ, surprise. Line 2, government, GOFT, government. And then if you ever have the word governmental, you would just come back for AL. Area, Y, long AR, year. Circumstance, SIRK, short I. Organize, ORG. Organization, ORGS. Then we have mortgage, MORT, mort. Again, initial GEN, gen. Against, initial GENS, gens. Then we have interest. Interest is going to be initial TR, interest. Line 5, immaterial, IMT. Irrelevant, IR. Then we have testify, TEF, TEF. And then we've got testimony, initial T, final M. Okay. We don't write testimony as TEM because that is used with the brief temporary, and I've seen it a couple of ways with TEM, but that's exactly why we write testimony as initial T, final M. So leave off that E. Okay. All right. 33.6 is a brief drill. Make sure you separate each one with a comma. 33.7, we've got sentences, practicing our new briefs. Let's go ahead and look at line 7, second sentence over. It says, do you have an idea for us? Make sure that you, phrase, do you have? Do you have? Underline it if you have to. All right. And then in line 15, it says, don't alter the circumstances. Let's look at alter. That's going to be a broad A. A-U-L, all. Come back for T-E-R. Alter. Okay. 33.7, practice sentences continued on the next page. If you look at line 19, it says the circumstances are strange. Strange is going to be written S-T-R, long A-N. And then we have to come back for a final J. Otherwise, it's going to look like string. Everything else there looks great. If you have to, go through and underline all of your phrases, if that helps you so you don't forget, so you're not marked off. 33.8 are consonant compounds. So today we're going to focus on SPR on the initial side and STR on the initial side. All right, so we've got spring, S-P-R-I-N-G. Spray, long A. Sprig, sprint. Sprain, long A. Spry, long I. Spring, sprout. That's using our OU. Sprawl, S-P-R-A-U-L. Sprat. Spree is a long E. Sprit. Sprue, long U. Spritz. That's going to be written as S-P-R-I-T-S. And the reason why is because the Z is part of that word. So we don't have to come back for a final Z because it's not considered a plural. So we can use the TS there. One in one stroke. Sprung, spread. We're going to use our AE, reversal AE. Spruce, long U. Sprocket. Sprinter, sprite. Sprite is a long I. String, stray, long A. Straw, A-U. Strip. Strain, long A. Straight, S-T-R, long A-G-T. Stress, stripe, long I. Strut, strum, strep, strap. Stride, long I. Strife, long I. Strand, stroke, long O. Streak, again, there's an AE reversal. Strobe, long O. Then we have stretch, and stretch is going to be written as S-T-R-E-C-H. Stream is AE reversal. All right, 33.9, we've got practice sentences. If you look at the first sentence, actually the first line, second sentence over, it says Jack Sprat ate no fat. Now Jack is going to have to be a flag, J-A with the flag final K, because it's one syllable, proper name, and Sprat, S-P-R-A with the flag T. Okay. Line 5, second sentence over, he went on a spree afterward. Afterward's going to be A-effer, come back for W-A-R-D, afterward. Line 8, second sentence over, have you ever. We've got have you ever. Have you ever. Line 13, second sentence over, be here at the stroke of 9. That is a time figure, so don't forget you're going to use your initial K, final 9. And then line 15, she ordered our strawberries. Strawberries, S-T-R-A-U, straw, and then bear, B-E-R. Come back for A-E, come back for final Z. Okay, next page, 33.9, practice sentences continued. Line 16 says, take a long comma, firm stride. Don't forget to strike your comma there. Final RBGS. And line 17, second sentence over, strew sawdust on the oil spill. Oil, O-I-L. Okay. Line 18, second sentence over, use a strip of laugh. Laugh, L-A-G-T, laugh. Okay, everything else there looks good. Now today, with our lesson 33, we're going to have a Q&A. I'm going to dictate this to you, and I want you to listen to what I dictate. I want you to write it, and then I want you to transcribe it, and you're going to turn this in. I want to see your steno notes along with the transcript that you produce, okay? And the reason why we're doing this is because on test 35, or excuse me, test 31 through 35, which is our next test after you finish lesson 35, there's going to be a Q&A section on there. So I want to make sure you guys know how to transcribe this correctly. So you need the feedback, okay? Because I noticed a couple of students, when they started the Q&A, let's say plaintiff is questioning, they wrote SNU, and then they went right into the questioning. But what you need to do is strike SNU question so that you get a byline for SNU. If you strike the SNU question, you're going to get a byline as well as the Q line. Okay, so that's why it's important to do that. All right, now before I I give this dictation, and you can print this out. It's for you to see as well. You can practice it before you actually write it if you want. That's totally up to you. But I'm going to go over some briefs here just to show you the importance of knowing your briefs and phrases. Okay, so you just learned mortgage, and you're going to see mortgage on here. So mortgage is M-O-R-T. That's on the first line. Second line, you're going to see property, P-R-O-R-T. Then you're going to see, is that right? S-T-H-A, final R-T. Again, this is why it's so important to know your briefs and phrases. Line 7, receive, S, long E, final V. Line 10, interest, initial TR. Line 13, I object, IB. Testifying, T-E-F, and then you come back for final G in a separate stroke. Line 14, testify, T-E-F. Line 15, statement, S-T, long A, M-T. Line 16, Your Honor, Y-U-R-N, yearn. Line 19, deliver, that's going to be a squeeze, D-L-I-F-R. You're going to see Mr. Whitman in this transcript. And again, it's important that you don't hesitate when you hear, when you're writing the audible Q&A. But it's also important that you write a readable outline. So when you hear Whitman, you're going to write it phonetically. And I want to make sure that you are aware, there are several names out there that have different sounds to them. And my example to you is Kate, Katie, Caitlin. So if I heard Kate, I would write that as K, long A with the flag T. Katie, I would write as K, long A, T, come back for A-E. Caitlin, I would write as K, long A, T, come back for L-I-N. Okay, so that's how I would write those. I have heard several students in the past say, oh, if I hear Caitlin, I just write Kate. But what happens if in the transcript they talk about Kate, Katie, and Caitlin because she goes by all three? Then you're not going to know what one was said. And each one that you have differently than what was spoken is -1. So that can add up quickly. So you have to have a readable outline. They say Caitlin, come back for your L-I-N. They say Katie, come back for A-E, and so on. There's so many different names that, have different shortened names to them as opposed to their full name. So you got to keep that in mind, okay? Like Jeff, Jeffrey. If you only write Jeff, how are you going to know when they say Jeffrey? You're not going to remember, okay? So very important. All right, so Mr. Whitman, that would be a word that would be a proper name that would be given at the end of the Q&A. If it were a test in speech, you would not actually see this Q&A. It's not like theory where you're going to be able to see it. So I would give that to you at the end of the test in the word list. But during the test, you're just going to write it phonetically, Whitman. All right, so line 21, second, you're going to write that as S-E-K-D, second. And line 25, we've got willow. And over on the second page, you're going to see avenue. Again, willow, write it phonetically, and that would be a word that you're going to get in the word list. Okay. Again, line 10, you're going to see immaterial, IMT. Let's look at line 15. Mr. Pratt comes in and says, Your Honor, and he gets cut off. So you're going to strike your O-E, O-E, and that's how you're going to get your dashes. Your Honor, and then he gets cut off. So strike O-E, O-E. Right now, if that were a test, let's say you don't have time to strike O-E, O-E, but you know that he gets cut off because all he says is Your Honor, and then the court comes in, then you would simply add your dashes, okay? Make sure you have 2 lines for dashes, not just 1. Otherwise, that's -1. Okay, line 16, we see argue. That's A-R-G. Line 22, we have I object, I-B. That might be it for the briefs. And again, you're going to want to phrase everything possible so that you keep up with the speaker more easily, okay? All right, so in this case, this Q&A, as you can see, the plaintiff is the one that is starting out with the questioning. Defense does come in as well as the court. Okay, and this again, I want you to do your best, and then you're going to go through and you're going to transcribe this. And if you see when you're transcribing that maybe you missed maybe you wrote the question when really Mr. Pratt is talking to the court, then you would take out the Q and you're going to replace it with Mr. Pratt. Okay, that's why we're practicing this. All right, here we go. Plaintiff is starting out. So instead of looking at this sheet, because I know you probably printed it out, go in and set it aside. I want you to focus on writing this and focusing. Okay, so you're looking at your screen. Don't take your eyes off because you don't want to miss a sign change. Here we go. Ready? On August 10, you placed a mortgage on that property. Is that right? Yes, sir. For how much? For $180,000. Did you receive the $180,000? I gave it to Mr. Whitman. So at the time that Mr. Whitman transferred half of the interest to you, you paid him the sum of $180,000 in cash to Mr. Whitman. Yes, sir. I object to counsel testifying. Yes. Let her testify. I was only repeating the statement she made, Your Honor. I know. Did you deliver anything else to Mr. Whitman at that time? Yes. I gave him a second mortgage on the same property. For how much? For $140,000. Did you still own the house on Willow Avenue? No, I couldn't keep up, so I sold it. When did you sell the house, Mrs. Whitman? I sold it in December 2015. Was there any income from that house? No, sir. During the period from August 10 until the separation agreement. What was your source of support? The only support I had, my family gave me. I object as immaterial. No, I will take it. This man got a separation agreement. She said he obtained it by fraud, duress, and for many other reasons. Let us find out what it is about. Your Honor, I am ruling with you. Don't argue, or I will change my mind. This property was not providing anything to your support. Was it? No. I object to the form of the question. I will let it stand. She said no. Let the answer stand. Okay. Now, if this were an actual test in speeds, I would give you all of the proper names because you would not have something to physically look at like you do right now. Okay, so I'd give you Mr. Whitman. Actually, I'd give you Whitman. I wouldn't give you Mr. because you would write that on your machine. You have to know whether they said Mr., Mrs., Ms., and so on. I'd give you Willow Avenue and any other proper names that are on here. Okay, so when you go to transcribe this, I know that you already have the handout and you're probably asking yourself, why am I doing this? I have the handout here to see what it's supposed to look like. And that's okay. You can refer to it if you need to. I want to encourage you to try not to look at it. Try to transcribe this from what you've learned so far. If you need to refer to it, that's fine. But it is important that you run through this before you actually take the test so you know what it's supposed to look like. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so with this, lesson 33, you're going to actually submit your Steno notes so that I can see how you did with that. And you're also going to submit the transcription. I want to see how you did. Now, again, this is just to make sure your tabs are correct and everything looks fine. You've got 25 lines and so on. This is not going to be, this won't be taken from you as far as your grade goes for your homework. Okay, this is more just to have the input feedback to see how you did. Okay, so I want you to put 100% effort into this, but I just know this is more for feedback, so you're ready when we have that next test that covers lessons 31 through 35. Okay, so that concludes our lesson 33. Actually, you know what? There's one more thing I want to let you know. There's one thing that I did, and you're going to find out on page 2, the second line. It says, no, I couldn't keep it up, so I sold it. And I actually said, no, I couldn't keep up, so I sold it. And I did that because I wanted to explain something to you. When you get into speeds and you take a test, let's say I, the speaker, or somebody else that's reading the test, if we leave out something or we accidentally add a word, we will make a note of that. So that when we go to grade that test, we will look at what you have as opposed to what we said. And because I left out it, you would not be marked off for that. Okay, I would go back and look and see that I made a note to myself that I left off it, and then I would not mark you off for it if you didn't put it in because I didn't say it. So I wanted to kind of show you what happens. And that happens sometimes, especially in the higher speeds. I might leave out a word like it, or I may add a word, and so on. And we always leave notes to let ourselves know, okay, I left this word out or I added a word. And that way when we go and, we grade your work, when we're comparing it, we're going to have notes to show that, okay, we actually said this and we don't mark you off for it. Okay, so again, that's it for lesson 33. So go ahead and practice those, and feel free to do that Q&A a few times before you feel comfortable with writing it to transcribe it. And I will see you in the read back portion of lesson 33. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.